Should we talk about the rail strike?
Yes, we could talk about the rail strike. Can I just pour a bucket all over Boris and Sunak for the handout?
Yeah, no, I was going to ask you about that. I had a feeling you might have
given
something
to the
to say
middle
there.
classes, by the way, which I feel almost as strongly as I do about the RMT. A shocking decision. But on the RMT, the idea that Boris wants to hand out money we haven't got to a collection of people who have bent us over a chair and are giving us the most tremendous rogering. I have no idea what has happened to Boris lately. I have no idea whether he's still a Conservative or not. But what I do know is our country is skint and we haven't got the money to hand out to blackmailers who are saying we're going to paralyse our nation. I remember the miners' strike of the 80s where they did the same thing based on heating, and we took them on and we defeated them. And Rupert Murdoch defeated the printers. The railway workers have to be defeated. And if they're not defeated, all I can see is a queue about 8 miles long of state workers saying, we want the same handout that the rail workers got. Let them paralyse the railways. America gets on very well without any railways. We proved for 18 months, 2 years that we didn't need the railways, although we paid the railway workers nearly $16 billion in furlough money. This is a matter of a trial of strength between a democracy and a group of people who want to literally pay themselves 11, 12, 15% and go on to a 3-day week or whatever it is that they want to do. We are not paying. Boris, are you listening? We're not paying. We haven't got the money. And we weren't helped today by you handing out literally billions to the middle classes. I understand paying the poor, right? I understand even the people on universal credit fiddling us, the poor. But I do not understand how we can afford to literally pay out probably what looks like the thick end of 8 billion quid to the middle classes who are used to cutting down on their energy. They've cut down on that. They're going to Egypt and they're not going to Greece, and they're going to Aldi's and they're not going to Waitrose. We haven't got the money. We haven't got the money for the railway workers. Our country is skint. We're on the edge of going into recession. The railways should simply be shut down. After all, they were nationalised because they were losing so much money. So why not just call it a day?
Well, arguably, Kelvin, because Grant Shapps, the Transport Secretary, has painted the government into a corner by saying, look, you can't have a strike because if the railways don't work, we can't move freight trains and all the valuable food that's on them will rot and we'll sort of steady start.
Fine. We just call in. We call in. I tell you what, call in all the railway workers in the Ukraine. Call in all the bosses. Call in all the troops. Keep the freight going. Keep the consumer. Unfortunately, we'll have to make do and mend. That's what our nation is about. It's not about giving in to blackmail by a collection of communists, right? After all, one of their leaders has been a lifelong communist, right? And also by an apologist for our friend Mr. Putin, right? I have nothing in common with the railway workers. They're just trying it on. And what disappoints me is that we have it in a Conservative, yes, a Conservative Prime Minister who seems to have forgotten what being a Conservative is about.
Well, Kelvin MacKenzie, just hold that position and hold that thought for a second. Christine Hamilton's here. I'm just going to put that to her. There are some people who say, I suspect Kelvin MacKenzie is one of them, that Boris Johnson likes to be popular. And that means he's not prepared to make the tough decisions that someone like Baroness Thatcher was.
Absolutely. Of course he wants to be popular. That was one of Margaret Thatcher's saving graces. She didn't worry about being popular. She just wanted to do the right thing. Kelvin mentioned Arthur Scargill. I mean, let's go back to the days of the miners. Thatcher saw them off. And if Boris doesn't stand up to these rail workers, as Kelvin said, it is just going to be a domino effect. Why should they get the money any more than the health workers or whatever? It's absolutely ridiculous. And do you remember Ronald Reagan, when the air traffic controllers were going to go on strike? He said, right, sack the lot of them. They went back to work very quickly.
Boris is proving a disappointment.
We've got about a minute left, Kelvin. I can tell you're really cross.
I'm furious with Boris about Partygate, not because it was a big event or anything like that, but listening to a Conservative Prime Minister saying, sorry. Why the hell didn't he think about all this while it was going on, right? He talks about leadership. He showed no damn leadership when he saw everybody was on the sauce and throwing up and God knows what, it would have been the talk of number 10. So actually, I don't believe that people are raging mad about it. I'm raging mad about the fact that he's imperiled a Conservative government by his own actions. And what I'd like to see from him is actually, I'd like to see him from the days when he was editing The Spectator, when he believed in this, he believed in that, he believed in the other. He's abandoned it all. He's been captured by the fact that he thinks he's not going to be elected. I guarantee he won't be elected, by the way things are right now. He now thinks the answer is, let's give money to everybody. Oh, you're not going to work for 2 years? That's all right, we'll give you a load of money. You're going to go on strike? We'll give you a load of money. You know, our energy prices have gone through the roof. I tell you what, you're the middle classes. You don't know how to cut your budget, but I tell you what, I'll give you the money. He thinks there is a bloody money tree. He's supposed to be a Conservative. He's not Starmer.
Okay.
He's not Corbyn. He's supposed to be somebody who cares about the value of the pound.
Kelvin, you've hit the top note there, and I'm not sure who Roger is, but thanks very much indeed for your contribution. Christine,
have I just got time?
Yes, you have. Go on, 10 seconds.
If the Tories go on implementing a socialist manifesto, why are people going to vote for them? Let's have the real thing instead. Let's vote Labour. I mean, they've got to stand up and be Tories, and let's start by standing up to the rail workers.
Christine, Kelvin, we've got to leave it there. Appreciate it. Thanks very much indeed.